अग्रवाल भी। अब ये हमारे ये ऑल फीमेल राउंड रहता है। ये these two girls are expert in IFRS, Ind AS reporting in India, and they have been taking various sessions on financial reporting. Dr. DS रावत पिछले दिनों हमारे was in the panel and he was a guiding force. वो बेचारे कोरोना में गुजर गए। आई थिंक उनके बाद हमने ये पहला सेशन कर रहे हैं और निशा के मेंटर रहे हैं। अ वेरी हम्बल मैन, छोड़ दे, वेरी वेरी हम्बल मैन। मेरा तो जरा सा परिचय हुआ उनको और मजा आ गया उस शख्स से मिलके। अभी तो मुलाकात भी नहीं हुई, केवल फोन पे बातें होती थी। एंड निशा हैज बीन कैरिंग द सेम with zeal and she has been now जो डॉक्टर साहब करते थे वो उनके जो सीपी सर्कल है कहीं कहीं जगह पे उनके पढ़ाती हैं जो डॉक्टर साहब करते थे। शी इज कैरिंग द सेम स्पिरिट विद हर। गुड लक निशा, अच्छा काम कर रही है। पहले बड़ा सपोर्ट होता था, अब बेटा खुद ही करना है आपको मेहनत। ठीक है सर, शुरू करें जी। बच्चे सब आ गए?
जी जी। Good afternoon, friends. Once again, welcome on this Timkasa channel, and we are here to discuss the India's issues. And today's session is specially designed for the young chartered accountant who are eager to learn on the some specific topic. And today, 1 hour session, we will discuss impact of India's on the financial statement by learned speaker C.A. Chandni Gupta ji. And second session will be delivered by C.A. Nisha Shoyal Agrawal ji on IFRS versus Indies. What are the differences between the and what are the carve out also. So both are the eminent expert. अभी हमारे बीच panelist and our mentor सी एस के गुजराल जी भी हैं, उनका भी सर स्वागत है। की भी गाइडेंस हमें टाइम टू टाइम मिलती रहे। एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम अबाउट द फैकल्टी, C.A. Chandni Gupta, one of the author of the India's book, which is very much useful, and I have both the books co-authored by Chandni Gupta ji in my office. So very lucky to read all those informations. Thank you, Chandni, for being here always. And C.A. Nisha Shoyal Agrawal is also one of the eminent expert who are who was working with the under the guidance of our yes रावत जी, who is no more in present time. मुझे वो दिन भी याद है जब लास्ट सेशन रावत साहब ने हमारे इसी प्लेटफॉर्म पर लिया था निशा जी के साथ, और उसके बाद अनफॉर्चुनेटली कोविड के पेंडेमिक में वो नहीं रहे, हमारे बीच में नहीं आज, बट मैं उन्हें हृदय से श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूँ और उन्हें नमन करता हूँ। तो आई होप कि निशा जी उस इंडियस की जर्नी को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। एंड to all my ex-team members joined from all the our regions and apart from other cities, सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। संडे मॉर्निंग we are here to discuss the issues. लास्ट में 15 minutes we will take up the queries, specific queries अगर आपकी कोई भी हो, then we will definitely take up all the queries with the help of Nisha ji and Chandni ji. So first 1 hour we will discuss about the topic so that it can be fruitful for all of us. So now I request Chandni ji to take up the session. Move forward.
Hello everyone, all the participants, good morning. Sumit sir, thank you so much for always giving me the opportunity. You have been one person constant from the very beginning in my career. So thank you so much. Nisha ma'am, thank you so much for allowing me to speak alongside you. And sir, Gujral sir, thank you so much for being here. Such senior members present in this forum. So today's session we will start and the topic is impact of Ind AS on financial statements. जैसा कि गुजराल सर ने बोला, Ind AS तो बहुत पहले ही आ गए थे, 2015 में पुरानी बात हो गई है, तो अभी क्या नया है? So let me tell you क्या नया है. नया ये है कि कंपनीज आज भी बहुत ऐसी हैं जो Ind AS नहीं लगा रही. क्यों? क्योंकि जब Ind AS आए थे 2015 में, तो MCA ने इंट्रोडक्शन के साथ साथ एक रोड मैप भी निकाला था, जिसके तहत लिस्टेड कंपनीज, और अगर आज की हम बात करें, ऑल द अनलिस्टेड कंपनीज हैविंग नेट वर्थ ऑफ 250 crores or more, only these companies are regulatory required to apply Ind AS. Otherwise, all the unlisted companies which do not have net worth above 250 crores are not applying Ind AS as we speak. So, as and when those companies grow and their net worth grow, Ind AS will be applied for the very first time. Also, the IGAP, the set of accounting standards that we have been studying from the very beginning, जो शुरू से बचपन से हमें पता है accounting standards, वो भी धीरे धीरे Ind AS से align हो रहे हैं. They will be amended, they will be converged with Ind AS. क्यों? क्योंकि Ind AS जो है, these standards are based on financial reporting standards which are at international level, IFRS. So let me quickly share my screen with you all, and then we will start with the background. So book के बारे में मेरे session के end पे बात करते हैं. But yes, this is the book that we have recently launched. This is Treatise on Leases. This is specifically for leases. I request all the participants to go on mute, please. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this book is covering a 360-degree angle on the leases, including IGAP, Ind AS, IFRS, and US GAAP. Right. So about Ind AS, as I told you that Ind AS are based on IFRS. What are IFRS? These are the International Financial Reporting Standards, which are issued by a UK-based board, which is International Accounting Standards Board. Right? Voice is breaking. Is this breaking for all?
थोड़ा सा ना आपका शायद माइक का कुछ प्रॉब्लम होगी. आपका चांदनी जरा माइक को जरा देखो. आपने कैसे लगा रखा है? आपने ईयरफोन पे तो नहीं करा? तो आवाज ही नहीं आ रही.
चांदनी आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी.
नहीं आ रही.
एक मिनट. ओके. Now do Chandni.
Yes. So is this better now?
Yes. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Yes. So as I was saying, International Financial Reporting Standards are issued by IASB, which is an international board. So basically, इन फाइनेंशियल स्टैंडर्ड्स में डिफरेंस क्या है और IFRS को इंडिया में लाना क्यों था? लाना इसीलिए था क्योंकि इंडिया की जो कंपनीज हैं उनके जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स थे, दे वर नॉट एट पार विद द इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स. जो अब्रॉड के इन्वेस्टर्स थे, अब्रॉड के जो एनालिस्ट थे, they were not able to understand Indian financial statements, and hence India decided to revamp the accounting standards, to revamp the financial statements so that the investors outside India are able to understand the financials and they're able to grasp and understand the value of companies in India and bring the investments. So this was the entire idea of bringing Ind AS and financial reporting standards in India. So this is a quick background. I will not get into deep, but as I have told you that IFRS are issued by IASB. There are IFRS, IAS, IFRIC, and CIC. All these four statements form part of IFRS. So India has not completely adopted IFRS. They have converged with IFRS. As we all know, converged means that they have not taken the word file of the standard and as it is issued it. They modified the word file. They made some adjustments. They deleted some content. They added some content. They did it to match the standards with Indian economy, because as we all understand, Indian economy is so dynamic, so volatile. It's so different from all other economies, and hence the accounting standards were amended as per the requirements of the economy. So we cannot say that India has adopted IFRS, but we will have to say that India has converged with IFRS. On 16th February 2015, MCA notified these standards, and from 1st April 2015, they were applicable, but not mandatorily. For the financial year 2015-16, they were applied voluntarily. Companies were voluntarily applying. जैसे कि Jindal Saw Limited applied voluntarily in the year 15-16. Otherwise, mandatorily it started from 16-17. Now, as we speak, there are 39 Ind AS, 40 IFRS, one standard in international level, which is not converged with Ind AS because it is not required in India as per the economy, right? As I told you, IFRIC and CSIC, what are these? These are the interpretations. These are the extended interpretations or guidance in the standard. In IFRS, these are a separate document. But India has done amazing thing that they have added that document in the standard itself as an appendix. So you can see whatever the additional guidance has been given in IFRS, India has given the guidance in the standard only as an appendix. All right, so 39 Ind AS, and this is the list of all the Ind AS versus IFRS versus AS. Now, let me tell you, there have been a lot of new standards which were never there in accounting standards. In the IGAAP, there was no guidance for these transactions, such as financial instruments. There was a guidance note on derivative, but it was deleted later on when India realized that Ind AS are coming, and all the big companies are having derivatives, and anyway they will be applying Ind AS. Then the guidance note also was deleted. Share-based payment for employee stock options, ESOPs, there was a guidance note, there was no standard. But in Ind AS, there is a specific standard called share-based payments. Ind AS 102, if you can see here, second last. Right, agriculture, Ind AS 41. This was never there. Companies who are in the agriculture business, there was no guidance in accounting standard. So let me tell you, the impact of Ind AS has not been only on the numbers, but it has brought additional guidance also, right? It has brought additional guidance for agriculture, hyperinflationary economies. These are exceptional economies, basically. Financial instruments, which are basically every company has a financial instrument. Trade receivable is a financial instrument, and there is a specific guidance on it. Insurance contracts, there is a specific Ind AS on that. Mineral resources, fair value measurement, very, very important. So now I will be going on to one by one the impact of of Ind AS on the financial statements. The roadmap I've told you, in the first phase in the year 15-16, it was voluntarily applied. In the second phase, it was mandatorily applied, and as we speak, क्योंकि ये पुरानी बातें हो गई हैं, and as we speak, all the listed companies and unlisted companies having net worth of 250 crores or more applying Ind AS, their holding, subsidiary, joint venture, associate, all these companies are applying Ind AS mandatorily. But this roadmap does not include NBFCs, insurance companies, and banking companies. There is a different roadmap for NBFCs. Here, if you can see, the NBFC's roadmap was announced by MCA on 30th March 2016, and it was applied from 1st April 2018. There was no voluntarily adoption. अगर NBFC है, वो कहती है मैं voluntarily apply करना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि मैं इस criteria में fit नहीं बैठता. No, you cannot. because NBFCs are not allowed to apply Ind AS if they do not fall in these categories. What are these categories? Whether it is listed or unlisted, having net worth of 250 crores or more as we speak. Right, so NBFC has a different criteria. Now there might be a question कि यार अगर मेरी company है, right, and it is a non NBFC company, it is applying Ind AS, it has a subsidiary which is an NBFC. So whether Ind AS will be applied on NBFC or not, right? If there is a bank, if there is a NBFC which is required to apply Ind AS, but it has a bank as an associate or as a subsidiary, then what happens? Because bank is not required to apply Ind AS, insurance companies and banking companies पे अभी तक Ind AS नहीं लगता. और अगर हम HDFC की बात करें, HDFC is an NBFC, but HDFC bank उसकी associate है. HDFC being an NBFC is required to apply Ind AS, but बैंक पे नहीं लगता. Consolidated financial statements कैसे बनेंगे? Consolidated financial statements बनेंगे as per Ind AS, क्योंकि NBFC पे Ind AS लगता है, और जो बैंक है उसके separate financial statements बनेंगे as per IGAAP, but उसको consolidation के लिए information देनी है as per Ind AS. Now I will show you an example. Here is the example. This is the annual report extract from HDFC, NBFC. इसमें साफ साफ लिखा है in the second paragraph, if you will see, HDFC Bank Limited being an associate of Housing Development Finance Corporation Limited, which is a NBFC, has prepared its consolidated financial information fit for consolidation information in accordance with the recognition and measurement principles of Ind AS. HDFC बैंक पे IGAAP लगता है, वो ऊपर वाले पैराग्राफ में लिखा है. नीचे वाले पैराग्राफ में लिखा है कि NBFC जो कि HDFC बैंक की पेरेंट है, राइट, जो कि HDFC बैंक की एसोसिएट है, उसके ऊपर Ind AS लगते हैं. इसीलिए बैंक फिट फॉर कंसोलिडेशन इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड करेगी कॉर्पोरेशन को, ताकि कंसोलिडेटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बन सके एज पर Ind AS. So I hope this is clear, because this is a very common question कि एक कंपनी पे लगता है but उसकी सब्सिडरी पे नहीं लगता as per regulation, then what happens? So this is the solution of it. There has to be fit for consolidation information for consolidated financial statements. Now what are the financial statements under Ind AS? पहले अगर हम बात करें अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स की, IGAAP की, राइट, मैं यहाँ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स को IGAAP बोलूंगी बिकॉज दैट वाज द प्रिलिमिनरी टर्म. IGAAP में बैलेंस शीट होता था, P&L होता था, कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट होते थे और नोट्स होते थे, राइट, कंपैरेटिव इंफॉर्मेशन भी होती थी. बट उसके फाइनेंशियल्स अगर 50 पेज में खत्म हो जाते हैं तो Ind AS के फाइनेंशियल्स 200 पेज में भी खत्म नहीं होंगे. इतने डिस्क्लोजर्स, इतने स्टेटमेंट्स this Ind AS has brought. This is the impact on the effort and visible impact that I can tell you, right? So as per Ind AS, there is an additional statement that a company has to prepare in addition to balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, and statement of cash flows. What is that statement? That statement is called statement of changes in equity. This statement of changes in equity, in short called as SOCE, S-O-C-E. SOCE is basically nothing but a movement of the equity. जो पहले रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस हुआ करता था उसको अब Ind AS में अदर इक्विटी बोलते हैं. उसकी पूरी मूवमेंट को दिखाना होता है इस स्टेटमेंट में. अलग अलग कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं. अदर इक्विटी में रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस कितना है, उसकी फॉर द ईयर प्रीवियस ईयर की मूवमेंट क्या थी, राइट, अगर कोई कैपिटल रिजर्व है उसकी मूवमेंट क्या थी, रिवैल्यूएशन रिजर्व है उसकी मूवमेंट क्या है. सो ऑल दीज रिजर्व्स, ऑल दीज कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ अदर इक्विटी नीड टू बी शोन सेपरेटली इन द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ चेंजेस इन इक्विटी एंड नथिंग एल्स. बट दिस इज एन एडिशनल स्टेटमेंट इन Ind AS. अब ये 7th पॉइंट पे लिखा है थर्ड बैलेंस शीट. व्हाट इज दिस? व्हाट इज दिस थर्ड बैलेंस शीट? सो लेट मी टेल यू, Ind AS में एक थर्ड बैलेंस शीट बनती है at the date of opening of prior financial year. इसका मतलब अगर financial year आपका 2020-21 है तो 1 अप्रैल 2019 की एक थर्ड बैलेंस शीट बनेगी। दो बैलेंस शीट तो नॉर्मली बनेंगी, 31 मार्च 2021 की और 31 मार्च 2020 की फॉर द कंपैरेटिव, बट एक 1 अप्रैल 2019 की भी बैलेंस शीट बनेगी। कब? when there has been a change in accounting policy and everyone knows that accounting policy में कोई change होता है तो उसका retrospective adjustment होता है। retrospective मतलब होता है कि जब से वो आइटम है बैलेंस शीट में, तब से अगर वो अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी चेंज हुई होती तो उसका इंपैक्ट आज की डेट में क्या है, और वो पूरा इंपैक्ट उसको रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स में लेना होता है, राइट? तो अगर इंडेस में कोई भी अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी आप चेंज कर रहे हैं एंड देयर इज अ मटेरियल इंपैक्ट, यू हैव टू प्रेजेंट अ थर्ड बैलेंस शीट। अगर आपने 2021 में अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी चेंज करी है तो आपको 1 अप्रैल 19 की बैलेंस शीट देनी पड़ेगी विद रीस्टेटेड बैलेंसेस, यानी कि जब अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी शुरू में लगी होगी तब उसका बैलेंस क्या था 1 अप्रैल 19 में। Similarly, if there is a retrospective restatement of items or when there is a prior period error, okay, in all these cases you have to present a third balance sheet. And very very important, when there is a first time adoption of Ind AS, when there is a first time adoption of Ind AS, there has to be a third balance sheet as on the date of transition. Transition date क्या होती है? जैसे मैंने बताया, अगर 2021 में लग रहे हैं Ind AS, 2021 से अप्लाई हो रहे हैं Ind AS, तो 1 अप्रैल 2019 is the transition date और 3 बैलेंस शीट्स प्रेजेंट होंगी। Okay, so this has been the impact of Ind AS on the efforts, on the presentations. Now we get into the deep. एक एक करके समझते हैं कि इम्पैक्ट एक्चुअली कैसे कैसे पड़ा, आइटम्स पे क्या क्या आया, बैलेंस शीट में क्या दिखने लगा, पीएनएल में एक्स्ट्रा क्या दिखने लगा, नंबर्स भी मैं आपको बताऊंगी कि किस कंपनी पे कितना इम्पैक्ट आया, राइट? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, विजिबल इम्पैक्ट। बैलेंस शीट एज पर आई गैप कैसी दिखती थी और बैलेंस शीट एज पर इंड एस कैसी दिखती है, ये देखिए। एज पर आई गैप, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल let me ask one question. Okay, I should not present it. Let me ask one question. Schedule 3 के बारे में सबको पता है? Everyone knows about Schedule 3, which gives the format of financial statements. Can you tell me how many divisions are there in Schedule 3? Please answer in the chat box and please tell me how many divisions are there.
Chandni, many answers, 2.
Yeah, 2,
But
right? I'm looking at the chat box. 2. This is
okay.
incorrect. This is incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. There are 3 divisions. Yes, Gujral sir, absolutely correct. There are 3 divisions. Division 1 for financial statement of companies applying IGAAP. Division 2, non-NBFC companies applying Ind AS. Division 3, NBFC companies applying Ind AS. So Schedule 3 is very important, and let me tell you, on 24th May 2021, MCA notified amendments in Schedule 3, all the divisions of Schedule 3, and there were tremendous amendments. There were so many disclosures added because of CARO 2020. नया CARO आ रहा है, auditor पे responsibility आई है. That's why MCA added additional responsibility on management first. That management has to make the disclosures first, and then the auditor will check those disclosures. Right? So please go and check the amendment. There has been many amendments. And this is applied for financial year 21-22, but you have to give comparative information. So be ready with the information as on 31st March 2021. Now, I was telling you the presentation. The balance sheet in IGAAP presented equity, liability, then assets. Balance sheet in Ind AS shows assets, then equity, then liability. This is the visible impact of Ind AS. See, this is the Hero Honda Motors financials. This is what? This is as per IGAAP. This is as per Ind AS. Sorry, this is old schedule. Okay, this is schedules, but I will just show you quickly. This is the annual report of Hero Honda, right? And this is the balance sheet as per Ind AS. See, if you can see, the assets come first, then equity and liabilities. But as per IGAP, the equity liability used to come first and then assets used to come. So this is a visible impact of Ind AS on financial statements. Next, let me tell you the impact of fair value. The impact of fair value. Fair value is the breath and blood of Ind AS. So many Ind AS requires fair valuation. So many. If I talk about Reliance Industries, in the year 15-16 they applied Ind AS, right? And they fair valued their PPE, and there was an impact of 41,000 crores on their balance sheet. The value of PPE increased by 41,000 crores. Can you imagine? This was the impact of fair valuation. The second point, if you can see on my screen, discounting of provision is required in Ind AS if the effect of time value of money is material and there will be additional finance cost in P&L. What is this? As per AS 29, we all know what are provisions, right? Have we ever heard about discounting the provisions? No, but in Ind AS, Ind AS 37 says if there is a material impact of the discounting of the time value of money, then you have to discount the provisions also. Bharti Infratel Limited in the year 16-17, they recognized ARO. What is this ARO? Asset retirement obligation. Ki after 20 years, if the asset gets retired, they have to dismantle the asset, they have to remove the asset, there will be some cost associated with this. So they recognized provision today in the books, right? As per IGAP also, but they did not discount it. If the value was 1 crore, they recognized 1 crore. But Ind AS says no, you do discounting, and there was an impact of 170 crores on their balance sheet. The asset declined, the provisions declined by 170 crores due to discounting. So this has been the impact of Ind AS. Now, have you ever imagined कि debentures equity में आ सकते हैं? Debentures को कभी भी equity में आते हुए देखा है? Ind AS has brought debentures into equity. If there are convertible debentures, there are convertible preference shares. These are compound financial instruments. The liability that is associated, मतलब कि आपको debenture पे interest देना है, preference shares पे dividend देना है, वो आपका liability portion है, but the remaining portion is equity and it is shown in equity. Jindal Saw Limited, in the year 15-16, when they applied Ind AS voluntarily, they applied Ind AS and their preference shares and debentures were shown in equity. There was an impact of 20,000 crores. So this has been the impact of Ind AS. Now, as I told you, that there are extensive disclosures, right? Financial instruments se related, group reporting se related, there are specific Ind AS. There are specific standards only on disclosures. Sir, Gujral sir, are you saying something? Yes, I'll just try to wrap up. Now. Yeah. So extensive disclosures, as I was telling you, Ind AS 112 and Ind AS 107, only on disclosures. Right? Substance over form. IGAP में भी था ये concept, but Ind AS में follow होता है. This is the difference. Ind AS में Ind AS 116, which is on leases, ये बोलता है कि अगर आपका asset आपने लीज पे लिया है तो आप उसको बैलेंस शीट में दिखाओ ना. You have the asset and you have a liability. You have to make some payments. You have to show it in the balance sheet. This is a substance over form. IGAP में नहीं है ये. Right? Revenue. As and when the services are rendered, then you recognize the revenue, not upfront. ये impact था Infosys पे. Sorry, मारुति पे. मारुति जो अपनी सर्विसेज देता है गाड़ियों के साथ, उसको उन्होंने डेफर किया था. क्यों? IGAP के अकॉर्डिंग तो उन्होंने इनिशियली रिकॉग्नाइज कर लिया, बट एज पर Ind AS it was not allowed. When you provide the services, you recognize the revenue. There was an impact of this on Maruti's financials. So I'll just try to articulate it that there has been an impact on the numbers of financial statement, the efforts due to uh, you know additional disclosures, additional statements, and very, very important, now management has to be very cognizant of the market, because because of the extensive use of financial fair valuation and everything. They has to follow the market. They have to know that what is going on in the market, and they have to analyze and evaluate each and every impact of movement in the financial statements, because fair values actually bring a huge difference. एक चीज जो हम लोगों को डिस्कस करनी चाहिए, which is on other comprehensive income. This is the last point that I will be taking. Other comprehensive income is nothing but an additional presentation. Profit and loss हम सबने देखा है, right? But there are 2 sections of profit and loss in Ind AS. पहले एक होता था, अब 2 sections हैं. Sections में क्या होगा, ये देखिए, ये हीरो होंडा की फाइनेंशियल है, इनकम एक्सपेंसेस, इससे आ गया प्रॉफिट फॉर द ईयर, उसके नीचे है
प्रेजेंटेशन मूव नहीं हुई.
ओके सॉरी,
वो आपको हटा, हाँ राइट ना, ओके.
या सेकंड पार्ट में अगर आप देख सकते हैं, देयर इज अदर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इनकम, right? Income, expense, profit for the year आ गया, that's all. But then again, other comprehensive income क्या है? This is a section where specific items are presented which cannot be routed through P&L. ये specific Ind AS बोलेगा कि आपको OCI में डालना है, तभी आप OCI में डालेंगे. जैसे कि PPE का अगर revaluation होता है, वो OCI में जाएगा, right? So this is additional section in the statement of profit and loss. I hope I was able, due to in the interest of time, I will just try to wrap up, and because Nisha ma'am has Ind AS versus IFRS, which is a major part of it, so I will just wrap up here, and I'll give you this PPT. Please go through all of this. Half an hour is very less to tell you everything about Ind AS, but I hope you all have comprehended that how tremendous changes have been brought by Ind AS. There have been impact on the numbers, and so there have been impact on the numbers and presentation, right? So hello. Thank you so much. I'll just
हेलो
जी सर.
बहुत सारी कई बारी बच्चे लोग कुछ सवाल पूछते हैं कि आपने 20-21 की बैलेंस शीट बना रहे हैं और उसके अंदर तो आपने इंड एस लगा दिया, हम उसका करस्पॉन्डिंग प्रीवियस ईयर को भी हमें ठीक करना पड़ता है, तो उसका लॉजिक क्या है? तो लॉजिक बड़ा सिंपल सा है, जो भी आप इंड एस लगाओगे पूरे साल में लगाते हो, और बैलेंस शीट जब आप बनाते हो तो उस बैलेंस शीट में एक ओपनिंग बैलेंस भी होते हैं, हर आइटम के ओपनिंग बैलेंसेस होते हैं. आपने ड्यूरिंग द ईयर तो सारा कर दिया, तो ओपनिंग बैलेंस का क्या करोगे? ओपनिंग बैलेंस सुधारोगे तो जाके तुम्हारा आपका करस्पॉन्डिंग प्रीवियस ईयर बनेगा. अब प्रीवियस ईयर तो बना दिया, अब प्रीवियस ईयर में भी ओपनिंग बैलेंस है, उसका क्या करोगे? वो आया 2019 मार्च की बैलेंस शीट का जो ओपनिंग बैलेंस है वो 20 के अंदर आ गया. तो ये एक सीक्वेंस ऑफ इवेंट ऐसा बनाया गया कि अगर हमने एक साल की बैलेंस शीट विद करस्पॉन्डिंग फिगर्स बनानी है तो उसका इम्पैक्ट तो उससे पहले साल से चलता आ रहा है. तो ये सारा सिनेरियो बनाया गया कि कब आपको अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी फॉलो करनी है, ताकि उस पूरे कंपैक्ट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट के अंदर सब चीजें साफ हो जाएं एक ही बारी में. तो अगर हम ट्रांजिशन पीरियड ना लेते तो फिर भी डिस्पर्जिंग फिगर्स आती, इसलिए ट्रांजिशन पीरियड बनाया गया. और उसके बाद उन्होंने, जब हम 2008-9 में पढ़ते थे, पूरी किताब बनती थी IFRS 1 के ऊपर, तो उसके अंदर उन्होंने समझाया था कि आपको क्या करना है. जब इंडिया के अंदर आया तो भैया हमारा तो हो ही नहीं सकता अगर IFRS को फॉलो कर लेते. लॉट ऑफ एग्जम्पशंस एंड रिलीफ्स वर गिवन के भाई किसी तरीके से बनाओ. तो हमारा तो कार्व आउट ही ऐसा बना है कि उसको आसानी से हम लोग फॉलो कर सके, वरना तो हम उड़ जाते. उसको कहता है कि भाई साहब आपको तो लेना है फेयर वैल्यू, PPE को आप करो उसे फेयर वैल्यू. हम तो इधर डर गए सारे, फेयर वैल्यू करें कैसे? So they gave, Indian government gave exemption कि भाई कुछ तो शुरू करो, आगे कर लेंगे, अभी शुरुआत तो करो. So transition period has been very important. लोगों को कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं समझ आ रहा कि उस समय क्या करना है. तो एक बार पैरा 13-14 है ना शायद एग्जाम्पशन वगैरह, क्यों नहीं शायद 13-14 है ना IFRS 1 में.
I don't remember the exact पैरा number.
हाँ 13-14 से है ना वो प्रीवियस ईयर एस्टिमेट्स वगैरह, उसको बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझना है, कॉन्सेप्ट उसमें क्लियर करना है. तो बहुत अच्छा हमारे तो जैसा भी लिखा है, पर एक बार IFRS में जरूर चेक कर लें, उसमें और अच्छा लिखा हुआ है. हमारी तो अंग्रेजी भी कलमारी वाली है ना.
hey, गुजराल सर आपने जो बोला है बहुत बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट बात बोली है गुजराल सर ने. ट्रांजिशन का पूरा मतलब समझा दिया है सर ने, राइट कि ट्रांजिशन डेट क्यों होनी चाहिए, क्यों हुई है, इंडियन इकोनॉमी के हिसाब से सब रिलेट कर पाएंगे गुजराल सर से कि क्यों इंडिया में ट्रांजिशन डेट आया, क्यों इंडेस के लिए थर्ड बैलेंस शीट बनानी पड़ी. सो आई थिंक इंडेस आज की डेट में सर समझना बहुत जरूरी है सबके लिए.
इट इज अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट. स्टार्ट कहाँ से करना था. मैंने पिछली बार एक सवाल पूछा था डॉक्टर रावत से कि फाइजर की बैलेंस शीट में उन्होंने एक 10 करोड़ की इन्वेंट्री दिखा रखी है जो गिफ्ट आइटम है या फिर फिजिशियन सैंपल होते हैं. तो मैंने सवाल पूछा कि सर इसको क्यों नहीं लिया. तो कहते हैं भाई टेस्ट ऑफ इन्वेंट्री पे जाओ, इट इज नॉट फॉर सेल. तो जन्म जन्मांतर से चलाए जा रहे हैं, सारी फार्मा कंपनियां इसी को अपना एसेट दिखाई जा रही है, इन्वेंट्री दिखाई जा रही है. तो देयर हैज टू बी अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ना.
राइट
ट्रांजिशन इज अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट, फॉलो करो उससे और फिर आगे बढ़ो.
सर कैन वी मूव फर्दर सर.
बिल्कुल जी बिल्कुल.
सो थैंक यू चांदनी फॉर इतने कम समय में आपने जो एप्लीकेबिलिटी रोड मैप एंड इम्पैक्ट समझाया. सो थैंक यू. And definitely we will take up other queries from the participant. You can send in the chat box. And in the meantime, I have shared the Telegram link. आप join कर लीजिए सभी participants so that we can share the presentation. Now I invite.
इनकी PPT आ गई.
हाँ PPT अभी ये लोग mail कर देंगे after the session.
बेटा भेजनी है.
Yes sir, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
निशा आपने भी भेजनी है. ये नहीं कि हाँ करके चले जाओ.
नहीं डेफिनेटली सर ऑलवेज इन लोगों ने भेजी है.
ढूंढते रहते हैं ना, कभी YouTube में ढूंढ रहे हैं, कभी कहीं ढूंढ रहे हैं, कहाँ उसने कहा क्या कहा था, कब.
टेलीग्राम ग्रुप हमारा सिंगल ऑप्शन है जहाँ 3500 प्लस मेंबर्स हैं. मैं वहां पर शेयर कर दूंगा, चैट पे लिंक शेयर कर दिया है. नाउ आई इनवाइट निशा जी टू गिव योर सेशन, क्योंकि ये आज 2020 मैच की तरह हमारा एक सेशन है. सो डेफिनेटली वी विल गेट द मैक्सिमम एडवांटेज. ओवर टू यू निशा.
Thank you, Sumit. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Gujral sir. Hi, Chandni. Thank you, Chandni. You have explained very well the first part, that is the changes in ANDAS and the impact of ANDAS in the financial statements. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And now, in another 30 minutes, I'll be taking you through IFRS versus INDAS. So just let me allow sharing my screen. I hope it's visible to everyone.
Yes, Nisha, yes.
Yeah. So now we'll be discussing IFRS versus INDAS. Like as Chandni told you in the very beginning, that there was a need, because we are a global economy now, so there was a need to move to IFRS. And she also gave us a hint that we haven't adopted IFRS, rather we have converged IFRS. So I'll be taking you through the why thing, like why we didn't adopt IFRS and why we converged to INDAS, or why there was a need to have another set of standards when we already have IFRS with us. So as you all know that we have in total, I'll just flip it because covered by Chandni, we have in total 40 IFRS as on date. IFRS are earlier before 2001, whatever international standards were issued were in the name of IAS in 2001 onwards, the nomenclature have changed and now the new name is IFRS. So whenever you start reading IFRS, don't get confused that what are IAS and what are IFRS. These are just, IFRS is just the new nomenclature, you can say. So as of now, over worldwide, 140 plus jurisdictions are using IFRS. Now, when we started in India, when we started working, like in 2005, there was a G20 summit where all the jurisdictions, the participants confirm that yes, we will be adopting or we will be using IFRS in our country. Then India was also part of it, and we started working on IFRS, the conversion process in 2000, around 8 or 9. So when we started working on IFRS, India was very much confirmed that we are not going to adopt IFRS. The reason being that, we have a different business environment. This IFRS is the international standards. But in India, we have a different business environment. We are a developing economy. So suppose if we, as it is, apply IFRS in our country, then what will happen if they'll come up with some another standard later on? So then we'll not be having any option to make any changes. So that's why India took a call that we will be converging to IFRS. We are not going for the adoption approach. So converging means, as told by Chandni, that converging means like we reviewed each and every IFRS in detail, and we started seeing that whether we can apply it in India or we need to make some changes considering our business environment, our practices and all. So we did few changes in IFRS, and the IFRS, after few changes, whatever is the outcome is called as Ind AS. So we can say like there is a set of standards. There is a set of standard, international standard IFRS. Then whatever changes, whatever things which we have excluded from the IFRS is called as carve out. So in IFRS, less carve out, and whatever provisions are not there in IFRS, but we, India, have added it, we call it as carve in. So IFRS less carve out plus carve in is our set, which is called as Ind AS. So I think we can skip it because we have only 30 minutes. So let's, when I say that what is the difference between IFRS and Ind AS? So the differences are only the carve outs and carve in, because I told you that we have done few changes while while converging from IFRS to Ind AS. So whatever the changes are there are called as carve in and carve out. So let's discuss one by one in detail that what are these changes. So these are altogether the differences between IFRS and Ind AS. So the very first carve out is in Ind AS 1, which is corresponding to IAS 1, presentation of financial statement. So the difference is the IAS, the international standard says that suppose there is a loan, there is a long-term loan, which you have classified as non-current. Suppose there is a term loan for 5 years and you have classified it as non-current in your balance sheet. And if on the reporting date, if on the balance sheet date, you have breached any of the conditions, then you are supposed to classify that non-current loan into current loan. So this is what is there in the international standard, that if there is a long-term loan and you have breached any of the conditions on the reporting date, then please classify it as current. Now, when we started converging it, we noticed that, in India, things are not like our business environment is different. whenever, suppose you take a loan from a bank, you see that there are so many conditions, right? There are so many conditions. We hardly read those conditions. We just agree and we take loan. Now, suppose it is at the balance sheet date, suppose there's a condition like you have to submit fair valuation report after every 2 years or so. And in India, we all know that, you know, once a loan is taken, it is ours. Now the bank asks for the valuation report and we say like, we are giving, and so on. So we keep on lingering things. But it is quite normal that we do breach conditions like submission of valuation reports or such conditions. So if we thought that if we start classifying this long-term loan, this non-current loan in the current, then the entire balance sheet will change. All the ratios, current ratios, debt to equity ratios will change a lot. And in India, like we are a developing economy, we have, you know, all the balance sheets have term loans in their financial statements. So this will have a huge impact on our financial statements. So we made a little change here. The change is we have written that if after the balance sheet date, if before the, you know, approval of financial statements, if after the balance sheet date, the condition, if we have fulfilled that condition, then there is no need to classify it as current. We can continue keeping it classifying as the non-current portion. And I think there is one more reason to add, because, you know, in India, normally when we breach any of the condition, like I have not submitted the fair valuation report or anything, the banker doesn't ask for the loan. The banker doesn't, you know, demand the loan back. They just expect us to fulfill that, breach thing, to submit the valuation reports and all. So in India, the carve out is if we have breached any of the condition as on balance sheet date, and later on we, rectify that breach, rectify that material provision, then we can keep continuing, we can keep disclosing, keep classifying the loan as non-current loan. So this is one of the very first carve out. This is the second carve out in Ind AS 10, IAS 10, events after the reporting date. So this is just a consequential carve out, you can say, because in the first we have discussed that if we have corrected the provision, if we have corrected the breach, rectification of breach, then we can make it an adjusting event and we can classify it as non-current only. So this is the consequential. The IAS says that even rectification of breach after the reporting period is a non-adjusting. You have to classify it as current, but in India, in Ind AS, we says that no, we will consider it as an adjusting event. Adjusting means even if we have breached, if before the approval of financial statement we have rectified the breach, then let's show it as non-current. Now this is out number 3 in Ind AS 28, IAS 28, investment in associate and joint ventures. Now Ind AS 28 says that for applying equity method in the preparation of investors' financial statements, uniform accounting policies should be used. It says that, as we all know, that when we are accounting for the joint ventures or the associates in our consolidated financial statements, we follow the equity method. So IAS says that if we are following for applying this equity method, there is a condition that the accounting policy should be uniform. But in India, we have seen many cases that in case of associates, in case of subsidiary, it is okay because we have a control there. We own more than 50% of their shareholding. We have a control here. So we can, get the things done as per our request. But that is not the case in associates. In associates, we have only significant influence. We don't have control over associates. So sometime we have seen it is practically we find it very challenging that the policies should be same. We have seen that suppose the associate says that my in property, plant and equipment, I am going by the this revaluation model, but the parent is following only the cost thing. So here we have added a phrase like unless impracticable to do so. Means if the associate, if it is totally impracticable that there can't be uniform policies, then let's add this phrase and do the consolidation process using the equity method. Because we, in our business environment, we were having cases where if we'll at this point that it is a must condition, it is a mandatory condition to have uniform accounting policies, then application of equity method could have been very difficult. So we added this phrase here so that we can move on to IFRS. Okay, friends, just one more clarity. See, whatever carve out are there, it was never our intention to add these carve outs. These are, you can say, hamari majburi rahi, because we have decided that we want to move to IFRS. This was our call, that we have to move to IFRS. तो अब IFRS में जाने के लिए जो भी बीच में दिक्कतें आई, we tried to eliminate those. कि okay, let's do a little change. इसमें थोड़ा सा change कर देते हैं कि ऐसा करेंगे so that हम IFRS को अपने यहाँ इंडिया में लगा पाए. बिकॉज अगर हम ये छोटे मोटे चेंजेस नहीं करते तो फिर IFRS को इम्प्लीमेंट करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता. तो हमने कॉल ली कि वी विल इम्प्लीमेंट IFRS, हम IFRS लगाएंगे, बट जो भी जरूरी चेंजेस हैं, जो हमारे इंडियन बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट को देखते हुए, इंडियन लॉज को देखते हुए जो हमें लगता है हमें करने चाहिए, वो थोड़े बहुत चेंजेस हम करते हैं. और ये जो चेंजेस हैं, these carve outs are in discussion with IASB, because they are of the view that you have not implemented IFRS in your country. You have altogether made new set of standards which you call as this Indian accounting standards, and we are trying to convince them. So at present there are 10 carve outs and 1 carve in. Let's see, maybe over time कुछ में हम change कर लेंगे और कुछ carve outs में we'll be able to convince the international bodies that these are required, very required as per our business environment. So ये जो carve out हमने discuss करा, this was also a situation for us, because without this we could not apply equity method in while consolidating our associates. So this is one phrase which we have added. Now this is the 4th carve out, Ind AS 32 financial instruments presentation. Now we have instruments which are called as FCCB, foreign currency convertible bonds. So IAS 32 says that if there are foreign currency convertible bonds, then please show the equity conversion option in case of FCCB as a derivative liability. We all know that these are compound financial instruments. So it says that please show the equity conversion option in these FCCB as derivative liability, and whatever the changes are there, we all know when we fair value the derivatives, we always show the derivatives at fair value. So whenever we show the derivatives at fair value, whatever the changes are there, plus or minus, gain or loss, the IAS says that please take it to profit and loss account. But in India, when we debated on this conversion process, so it is felt that, being a developing economy, our companies have a lot of FCCBs. And if we will show these fluctuation, these derivative portion in our P&L, if we start showing this difference in our P&L, then there'll be a huge fluctuation in the P&L, and it will impact many of the companies. So maybe at that time it was decided that let's take a call, let's add a exception in the definition of financial liability in Ind AS, and we decided that whatever is the convertible portion in this FCCB, we will classify it as equity instrument. We won't be taking it to statement of profit and loss account. We will take it as a equity. So that I don't think like this is, so much justified, but this call was taken that time while conversion, maybe to avoid the, fluctuation in the corporate's balance sheet. So it was decided that the gain or loss on account of change in fair value, we will park it to equity. We won't be taking it to profit and loss account as it is there in IAS 32. So this was the carve out aided by us. Any questions so far?
Yes, Nisha, two questions are there. One is regarding applicability on the applicability of Ind AS on cooperative society in India. Can you hear me?
Yes, just let me go through this. What is the applicability of Ind AS on cooperative societies in India?
Yes.
See, at present, in India, Ind AS are applicable only on corporates and NBFCs. So cooperative societies, Ind AS is not applicable on cooperative societies. Only IGAP, AS are applicable.
And second from Pintu Agrawal.
Yes, Sumit, can you unmute Gujral, sir? I think he wants to say something.
Okay. And second question you can read from Pintu Agrawal.
Yes. In case of just a minute. In case of international standard of auditing, we adopted 100% as SC, but in case of IFRS, we converge to Ind AS. Whether regulators have any plan to provide some relaxations to Indian entity in respects of standards of auditing? Well, I don't think we have any plan to provide relaxation for auditing things.
No.
We did, as I'm telling you, we did these changes because there was a requirement. But I don't think like for standards of auditing, we have noticed any such reason for deviation.
ये जो सवाल है कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी का पूछा है इन्होंने. Hello, Ind AS is applicable to corporate company law under the Companies Act 2013 और कंपनीज के अंदर कॉर्पोरेशंस भी आती हैं जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की हैं, पब्लिक सेक्टर अंडरटेकिंग्स एंड कॉर्पोरेशंस, दे आर आल्सो एप्लीकेबल. बैलेंस कोई भी नहीं है, ना पार्टनरशिप ना और किसी के ऊपर किसी पे लागू नहीं है. पहले कंपनी का कर लें तो कंपनी हो जाएंगी, फिर एनबीएफसी और इंश्योरेंस को कवर हो जाए, उसके बाद कोऑपरेटिव सोचेंगे. और दूसरी बात ये जो कह रहे कि ये एक्चुअली इंड एस जब इंडिया अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड जब इंडिया में आए थे, दे वर वेरी लिमिटेड, 2-3 लगते थे. हमने भी उनको कॉपी पेस्ट करा था. उस समय भी हमारा कार्व आउट हुआ था, तो हमने इन टोटो उनको एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया था. सिर्फ 32 और 39 जब आए थे, हमने इन टोटो कॉपी पेस्ट कर दिया था, क्योंकि हमको समझ नहीं आ रहा था करना क्या है, तो कर लो यार इसको अभी. उसके बाद इंड एस की भी IFRS इंडिया में एप्लीकेबल होने लगा था, बट इट केप्ट ऑन डिफरिंग. सो हमने तो उस समय भी कार्व आउट किए थे. तो अभी जो कार्व आउट हुए हैं, सो एज टू अकोमोडेट, हमारी इतनी डाइवर्सिटी है, हर कंपनी में वो चीजें अगर लागू कर ले तो फटा बैठ जाता. इसलिए हमने सबको स्टेक होल्डर्स की इतनी डिस्कशंस होने के बाद इनको कार्व आउट को बनाया है कि थोड़ा सा रिलैक्स कर दो भैया, तुम्हारे तो बड़े स्ट्रिंजेंट अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड है, वो हमारे पे लागू नहीं हो सकते. अगर लागू करना है तो उसको रिलैक्स हमको अपने हिसाब से देख के करना पड़ेगा. उनको जो बोलते हैं बोलने, तो हमने तो अपने हिसाब से करना पड़ा ना, कम से कम चालू तो कर लिया ना.
चलिए, मेन आइडिया यही था कि हम एटलीस्ट अपने यहाँ लाएं, तो बिकॉज अगर हम सोचेंगे हम एज इट इज लाएंगे तो फिर शायद हम कभी IFRS ला ही नहीं पाते, बिकॉज कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम चैलेंजेस तो हमेशा रहेंगे.
Nisha, one more query is there. If a company is having Ind AS requirement and is 90% partners in a partnership firm, will that partnership firm need to prepare the financial statement as per Ind AS?
Yes. Consolidation purpose के लिए बनाना पड़ेगा खाली.
Okay. Right.
Maybe fit to use.
Okay. Nisha, can you complete the your balances?
Yeah. So just a minute. We are on the 5th carve out. Now this is a simple carve out. It is just that in IFRS 1, it says that IFRS 1 defines previous GAAP as the basis of accounting used immediately before adopting IFRS. Like you will be seeing that there is a term previous GAAP mentioned in IFRS 1. So IFRS 1 has defined it. That previous GAAP means whatever set of standards you were using just before coming to IFRS. Now, because these IFRS are international standards, so there may be a case like, the companies were following German GAAP, Singapore GAAP, Chinese GAAP, it can be any other GAAP. So, but in India, because we have Ind AS specifically for India, so we have defined this previous GAAP. We have written that previous GAAP means IGAAP, because we in India, we were having only AS before IFRS. So this is not, you can say there is no such deviation. It's just that we have defined what is previous GAAP in our Ind AS. Previous GAAP means our accounting standards, IGAAP. Now the next carve out is
PPE.
The next carve out is this on PPE. It is on Ind AS 101. So it says that IFRS 1 says that either by applying IAS 16 retrospectively or at fair value. It says that when you are moving from your previous GAAP to IFRS, then you apply either the IFRS provisions retrospectively or you calculate the fair value. So this is there in IFRS. Now in India, we have, if we apply this property, plant and equipment retrospectively, there were challenges, because if you'll read the standard, you will find that there is a difference in the depreciation concept. Earlier we were having WDV method, SLM method in our AS, but no method is defined in the new standard. But it talks about, it says that depreciation means, it talk about certain patterns, certain consumption pattern. So that require Indian companies which were having WDV method to revisit their depreciation, policy or depreciation calculations. So in India, because we have companies which are 50 years old, 60 years old, very old companies, it was very difficult to do all the calculations which is required by the new standard from the very beginning. Retrospective limits do it from day one. So it was very difficult for our companies to do it from the very beginning. The reason was they were not having such old records. So this was debated in at very length that it will not be possible for Indian companies to apply this retrospectively. Then we see that, okay, let's move to the fair value. Can we, opt for the fair value? So we noted that time in 2008 when we were converging that maybe we'll have again difficulty in fair value, because we do not have such market here, or we do not have so many valuers here for. So this I'm talking in for 2008 or 9 when we did this process, this conversion process. So there were so many challenges if we go by both these things. We were not in favor of retrospectively, and we were also having challenges in fair value. So that time India decided that, okay, let's put an additional option because we want to move to IFRS anyhow. So what can be the possible solution? So we all decided at a solution that, okay, let's give an additional option, and the additional option is whatever carrying value is there in your AS balance sheet, please treat it as deemed costs and start the IFRS thing. So we here added an additional option that you can use the carrying value of your, this is an additional option, means in IFRS 1, there are two options, either apply the IFRS retrospectively or use fair value. And in India's 101, this is the third option. We have added one more option that you can consider the existing value, the carrying value in your IGAAP balance sheet as your deemed cost, and now you can start apply the new, new provisions. You can say it prospectively. Yes, sir. We want to say something here.
हाँ, इसमें मैं एक एकेडमिक बच्चों को बताना चाहता हूँ कि इफ यू रिकॉल, हमारा 2008-9 में जिस समय हमारी मार्केट क्रैश हुई थी, तो उस समय गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने AS 11 में रिलैक्स कर दिया था। जो फॉरेन करेंसी लोन्स हैं, उसका जो इंटरेस्ट है PNL में ना डाल के आप कैपिटलाइज कर दो।
हाँ सर, वो अलग से है, मतलब वो हमने आगे
सुनिए। तो सबको पता ही है कि हमारे जो फिक्स एसेट होते हैं, अगर हम कोई बिल्डिंग बना रहे हैं, कोई फैक्ट्री बना रहे हैं या कोई प्लांट लग रहा है, उसके अंदर हमारे कुछ खर्चे तो कूड़ा ही होते हैं और जबरदस्ती के घुसाए जाते हैं। तो जिस समय हम इसको IFRS में कन्वर्ट करने की बात सोचते थे, तो हमारे पास यही ऑप्शन होती थी कि रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव जाओ या फेयर वैल्यू लो। फेयर वैल्यू के लिए खर्चा होता है, मालक उसके लिए एग्री नहीं करते थे, तो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव जब हम देखते थे तो उसमें 20% का तो ऐसे ही खर्चा पता लग जाता था कि गंद है। तो क्या करा जाए? तो गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि भाई साहब, अगर ये सारी कंपनियों को ऐसे करना पड़ जाएगा तो सारे ऑल एवरीथिंग विल कम आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स। सबने शोर मचा देना कि साहब अब तो मर जाएंगे, 20% वैल्यू गिर गई। तो उन्होंने कहा भाई साहब सिंपल है, चलो आपने जो क्वांटिफाई कर रखी है एज ऑन द ट्रेडिशन पीरियड से 31 मार्च को जो वैल्यू आपने ले रखी है, आप उसी को लेके कैरी करो, शुरू तो करो, क्योंकि इसका सारा इम्पैक्ट पड़ता था रिजर्व सरप्लस में। अगर फिक्स एसेट की कॉस्ट 20% गिर गई है तो आपके रिजर्व में से तो निकलेगी हो, रिजर्व्स को ही तो इम्पैक्ट होना था। अरे फाइनल रिजर्व्स, हेलो,
यस सर।
अगर इनमें आपकी फिक्स एसेट अगर आप 20% भी कम करते थे, 100 करोड़ भी कम हो जाती थी, तो उसका इफेक्ट कहाँ जाता? उसका इफेक्ट तो रेजिडुअल रिजर्व में जाता 31 मार्च को। तो गवर्नमेंट ने कहा भाई साहब जो वैल्यू है आपकी, आप उसी को कंटिन्यू करो, आगे बढ़ो। इसका निष्कर्ष ये है, ना फेयर वैल्यू पे जाओ ना कुछ करो, कोई भी नहीं कर रहा फेयर वैल्यू ना रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव, वो उसी वैल्यू पे आगे बढ़ रहा है। आगे चलो निशा, 6 नंबर 7 नंबर।
यस, तो आगे मूव करते हैं। ये जो अभी सर ने बताया जस्ट उसी से रिलेटेड है। अगेन इन Ind AS 101 वी हैव एडेड वन कार्व आउट। जैसा भी इसमें हमारे जो हमारा पुराना स्टैंडर्ड था एक्सचेंज रेट्स था, उसमें हमारे देयर वाज अ पैरा, व्हाट वाज इट, 44 पैरा 4 or something, in which we have given one option to the companies that if you have any exchange difference from long-term foreign currency items, then you have an option to capitalize that loss, that foreign exchange fluctuation. So this was the option given to companies. Now, when we were moving to Ind AS, when we were moving to IFRS, there is no such provision in IFRS. So it was discussed in detail that now what we will be doing with it, because whenever there is a common, principle that whenever you have to apply any IFRS, you have to apply it retrospectively, unless there are transition provisions. So it was discussed that we cannot, if we'll apply this standard retrospectively, then what will we do? What we'll be doing with that foreign exchange gain or loss which we have capitalized? Now, we just are told that if it is not there, then ultimately it will be going to your reserve and surplus via profit and loss account. So it was decided that, okay, since we have to move to IFRS anyhow, let's keep continuing with that option. Let's give companies the option that they may continue. They have exercised earlier that option to capitalize that foreign exchange gain or loss, then companies can continue that policy and let's move on.
Correct.
Then this is one more carve out. It is in India's one. It is in this IFRS 3 business combination. IFRS 3 says that suppose you have purchased a company wherein the net asset value you have acquired, suppose is of 50 crores and you are paying only 40 crores. So IFRS says that if you are acquiring a company where net asset values are 50 crores and you are paying only 40 crores, then you have whatever the benefit you are getting, it is called as bargain purchase. Means you have bargained good. So it is a bargain purchase and take it to P&L. It is your income, right? But in India, we added one carve out here. We says that no, in India, the reason could be like in India, many of the cases we have seen that, there are business combinations in the nature of merger. They are not actually the purchase of business. They are in the nature of merger. So if we'll put these differences in our P&L, then there will be a lot of fluctuation. So we decided that no, let's do a little change here. We cannot take it to our P&L. We'll be taking it to equity. So the carve out is recognition of bargain purchase in OCI and accumulated in equity as capital reserves. Again, there are further two bifurcations there. It says that ultimately it will be going to equity. Now you can route, there are few conditions, you can route it through either OCI or direct equity. But the concept is you're not supposed to take it to P&L. So this is the carve out. Now this is carve out number 10, the last carve out. This is in IFRS 15, revenue from contracts with customers. Now in IFRS 15, they says that all types of penalties, in IFRS 15, there is a concept of variable consideration. So IFRS 15 says that whatever penalties you will be having, please consider it in the nature of variable consideration. Variable consideration is a concept which is there along when you decide the transaction price in your contract. So IFRS 15 says that whatever penalties are there, they are in the nature of variable consideration. But in India, we did a little change here. We says that no, if the penalty, we are classifying the penalty in two parts. We are saying that if the penalty is inherent in determination of transaction price, then only we will consider it as variable consideration. Otherwise, we won't consider it as variable consideration. Let's take an example. Suppose I got a contract. Suppose I am giving you a contract and I say that I will give you 50 crores for this. But if you will, a construction project, I'll give you 50 crores for making this, suppose, highway in a time of 2 years. But if you will complete this highway in 1.5 years, then I'll be giving you 55 crores in place of 50 crores. But if you will delay the handover, if you will complete it in more than 2 years, then I will be giving you only 45 crores. So can you see here that my penalty, is a part of, is inherent in determination of transaction price. When I'm fixing the transaction price, I'm putting a condition that I'll give you 50 crores, but if you will complete it in less than 2 years, I will give you 55 crores. But if you will delay it, I'll give you only 45 crores. So in such type of cases only, the penalty is a part of variable consideration. Otherwise, we won't consider it as a part of variable consideration. It will go to the cost, the P&L part. So this was the carve out. So these are the 10 carve outs, the 10 deviations from IFRS. There is only one carve-in. Carve-in means nothing is there in IFRS, but we have added something. We have added the provisions. So in India, we have lot of business combinations where we have common control. Common control means before merger, before this acquisition or business, before business combination as well, we were having control, and after business combination as well, we are having control of the entity. So it is called as common control. So nothing is written about in IFRS about such type of arrangements, but in India, because we do have lot of such business combinations, so we have added an appendix C to our standard, which defines that what you need to do. Basically, it is pooling in India. In AS, you know that we had earlier two methods, pooling of interest method and purchase method. In business combination, it only talks about purchase method. But this appendix C, which is for business combination of entities under common control, we are talking about the pooling interest method. That okay, if there are such type of business combinations, then you please follow these provisions. So this is one appendix which we have added with Ind AS 103, or you can say IFRS 3. So these are all carve outs and carve-ins. There are few other changes as well, which we have not termed as carve out. Those are like, suppose there are 3 options given in IFRS, and we have restricted to just 2 options. So we say there's curtailment of options. So we are not terming those as carve out. So difference, example could be like in IAS 40 investment property, IFRS is giving us 2 options. You have cost model or fair value. But in Ind AS 40, we have only one option, only cost model. So we have restricted the options given by IFRS. And there are certain other changes as well, like change in nomenclature, type of things which we have not considered as carve-outs. So these are all about the differences between IFRS and Ind AS. Now I am open to questions, or I would like to request if sir also want to add something. I request participants to please drop your questions in the chat box.
Nisha, I open this platform now for questions. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand so we can unmute yourself for asking, or alternatively, you can post your query in the chat box. What is the impact on Ind AS on the steel, iron ore sector?
Good question, Vijay sir, but I think ये थोड़ा analyze करना पड़ेगा. Specifically, हम एक particular sector के ऊपर बात कर रहे हैं, so we can discuss offline. I have one report with me where sector-wise impact is given, so I can share it with you via Sumitji or can directly.
Definitely. I have given the Telegram link, so every participant can join, and I will share.
Thank you, Aditya Sharma ji. Yes, the para I was referring in carve out is 46A.
Any other query from any participant? I will allow to unmute so you can ask. And Nisha, you wonderfully covered
Raise your
all the
hand. If you
differences.
will raise hand, na, you will be expected to ask and we'll unmute.
I think ये जो कॉस्ट हमारा इन्वेंट्री में पीपीई के अंदर जो कॉस्ट होती है, कॉस्ट विच आर नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज अ कॉस्ट टू बी एडेड इन द पीपीई, तो जो रिकॉग्नाइज, जब हमारा ट्रांजिशन पीरियड के अंदर हमने पाया कि हमारे पिछले सालों में 2012, 13, 14 के अंदर कंपनी ने कॉस्ट विच आर नॉट, जो कॉस्ट नहीं ऐड करनी थी, कैपिटलाइज करनी थी, वो भी ऐड कर रखी है, तो उसका क्या हशर होगा ट्रांजिशन पीरियड में? क्योंकि अब उन्होंने कह दिया कि जो कॉस्ट चढ़ी हुई है, ऑप्शन आपको दे दिया, जो कॉस्ट चढ़ी हुई है आप उसी को उठाइए। पर ये तो गंद उन लोगों ने डाला हुआ है, तो इसकी एडजस्टमेंट तो नहीं होगी ना, फिर
कुछ नहीं होगी सर, फिर तो जो है उसी को हम आगे लेके बढ़ गए।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
अगर हमने वो ऑप्शन एक्सरसाइज करा तो जिसमें हमने कैरिंग कॉस्ट को कंटिन्यू कर लिया, फिर तो कुछ नहीं हुआ उसका, हम वही आगे लेके बढ़ गए।
वो कूड़ा फिर वापस आ गया, कंटिन्यू हो रहा है।
तो
क्योंकि क्या है,
जब प्लांट पॉसिबल ही नहीं था,
जब वो कमर्शियल प्रोडक्शन के लिए प्लांट को लगाते हैं, फिर वो कमर्शियल प्रोडक्शन डेट को आगे पीछे खिसकाते रहते हैं, उसमें लॉसेस सारे डालते जाते हैं कैपिटलाइज, मतलब कूड़ा तो बहुत है, हर कंपनी के अंदर है। पर आप देखो क्या डेप्रिसिएशन कर करके इसको ये खत्म हो जाएगा कि नहीं खत्म होगा। अब आगे तो क्लैरिटी हो गई है कि ऑडिटर को तो बताना ही है कि कैपिटलाइज क्या होना और क्या नहीं होना है,
क्या नहीं होना।
पहले जो होता था वो तो पहले जो होता था हो गया
जी,
अब तो क्रिस्टल क्लियर है।
सर जो रिवाइज शेड्यूल 3 में जो रिविजन्स हुए हैं, दैट विल मेक ए लार्ज इम्पैक्ट ऑन द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट फॉर आई गैप, अकॉर्डिंग टू आई गैप और इंड एस,
दोनों में कर दिए ना उन्होंने,
दोनों में चेंजेस किए हैं। So current year, for the current financial year, many additional reporting requirements has been increased.
जरूरी भी थे।
Are you there, Chandni? Any other question from any participant? So
for all the participants, if you want to read Ind AS or if you want to read such impacts and all, you should visit our ICI website. They have come up with very good material. I have seen that they have many good education materials, and they have many good studies over there, impact studies and all. So you can go there, you can also refer those studies.
Nisha ji, one query: how many companies have adopted fair value measurement for PPE?
How many companies? I cannot say you as how many companies, but yes, I have seen that many companies have adopted this fair value for the land option, for the land class. Yeah. Otherwise, like whatever financial statements we have referred so far, I have not seen adoption or opting for fair value other than land.
Chani, can you see the query from Pintu Agarwal ji?
Yeah. Generally, we should not have bargain gains between the owners. Concept is that if I am acquiring an international channel of cost. No, so Pintu ji, if the purchase consideration is greater than the net assets, that is a goodwill, right? It is assumed that we are paying for the goodwill of the acquiree. But if the purchase consideration is less, then we say that there is a bargain gain, right? So I'm not clear on the question exactly what you're asking. I think if you're asking for an example.
Yeah. We referred this. We discussed this carve out. So Pintu ji is asking if we can provide a case. Pintu ji, in practical scenario, you are right. There is, whenever a company is going for bargain purchase, obviously two wise people are bargaining. So there won't be this case in practical. But it may happen sometimes, when we have seen that company in India, company do a lot of changes just for, some purpose. Suppose a company is going for IPO. They want to, change the group structure. They want to have maximum now companies. They want to, they are a good group. but now they want to get the business below them in their name. So they do, for some reasons, they do a lot of changes, they do a lot of things which falls in the business combination. So this, I think we have added to address those cases.
Thank you, Nisha, and no other query. So we would like to close our today's session, which has been planned for discussion, especially what is the logic to recognize the bargain purchase in equity?
Logic is, we cannot, in IFRS, it has to be taken to P&L, but we cannot take it to P&L. So equity is the residual thing, right? Whatever equity is residual. So if we do not want to take it to P&L, so let's take it to equity. It is the residual. No other option. Let's take it to equity.
So it is the time to conclude the session. Already 1 hour से 1.5 घंटा हो गया. हाँ, 1.5 घंटा हो गया already. We have discussed lot of
सर
things.
इसके लिए तो पूरा एक अच्छा सा full fledged session होना चाहिए because
we have
Nisha
organized
ma'am would
earlier also.
agree. हाँ, yes. Sumit sir,
And,
at the CASA platform only I've taken one session on analysis of financial statements.
आज हमारा पर्पस था लॉन्ग सेशन, हमने ऑलरेडी 2 hours लॉन्ग हर सब्जेक्ट पे ऑर्गेनाइज किए हैं जो हमारे चैनल पर अवेलेबल है, वेबसाइट पर भी अवेलेबल है. आज के सेशन का पर्पस था कि क्विक व्यू मिल सके जो यंग सीएच को जो इस काम में एंटर करने वाले हैं, इंडेस पे काम कर रहे हैं,
आइडिया वाज टू हैव ब्रेकफास्ट विद इंडेस.
यस, राइट, यू कैन से दिस.
और रोटी का टाइम हो गया है.
और हमारे 20 सीनियर मेंबर एसके गुजराल साहब की भी गाइडेंस मिली एंड आप सभी पार्टिसिपेंट ने.
हम तो ऐसे ही बीच में कूद के आ गए यार जबरदस्ती आज.
आदित्य,
पता चला निशा बोल रही है, हमने कहा चलो.
I am a fresher CA. This is good platform. Thank you, Sunny City. Thank you. And you can connect with me on my Telegram channel or WhatsApp so that you can get the information of our regular sessions. Alternative days, there are definitely a session on each and every subject. So with this, thank you, Chandni ji and Nisha ji for your quick review on this Ind-AS. And of course, my mentor and elder brother CA SK Gujral ji. Sir, thank you very much. Thank all participant Aditya ji, Pintu ji for actively participating and all the members.
निशा अगली बार इन्वेंटरी के ऊपर करें. मेरे को एक टॉपिक बड़ा अजीब सा लगा. एक अच्छा सा है, एक टॉपिक है मेरे पास. Why we have left